Good morning friends. As you all are aware that financial year 22-23 has ended on 31st March 2023. So all the organizations must be busy with the closing of their books of accounts for the said financial year. Aren't you? I am Ashis Agarwal from Team NGOenabler, and if you really want a perfect and smooth closure of your books of accounts which is ready for audit, watch this video till the last so that you don't miss upon any important point, because today in this video we are going to discuss about 10 key points to be kept in mind by charitable organizations at the time of accounts closure. Let's begin. First and foremost are the adjustment entries, which can be something like adjusting the advances given to staff against expenses incurred, identifying the admin expenses is specific to any project and adjusting with the relevant grant for that project, adjusting the statutory liabilities such as PF, PTax and TDS deducted with the payments made to derive actually payable amount at the end of the year, which of course ideally should be that for the month of March, and many more of such adjustments. Next comes the depreciation. The fixed assets owned by the organization needs to be depreciated in accordance with the general accounting norms at the rates prescribed or as decided by the management. The depreciation entries are usually passed at the end of the year and thus is a part of the closure process. Then is the reconciliation of bank accounts. The balances of all the banks held by the organizations during the year should be reconciled, and for any mismatch, bank reconciliation statement, which we call BRS, should be kept prepared. The organizations should ensure that the updated bank statements are available as soon as possible so that the books can be closed on time. Fourth point to be kept in mind is matching of TDS deducted for your organization as reflected in Form 26AS vis-a-vis that recorded in the books of accounts. This check will in turn also validate whether the interest or any other income on which TDS was deducted has been appropriately and completely recorded in the books of accounts as income. Any deviation of income or TDS claim might raise a doubt of misreporting of income and shall be questionable. Next is matching of specified financial transactions as captured in annual information statement or taxpayers information summary, which can be found on your income tax portal. As you must be aware by now, PAN was made mandatory to be quoted for certain nature of transactions above the limit specified by the department, such as large cash deposits and withdrawals, purchase of mutual funds or making term deposits over and above a certain amount, sale or purchase of immovable property, interest on term deposits, and many more of such transactions. Such transactions are compiled and reflected in the AIS or TIS of the organization available on the income tax portal. If you are not aware by now about the SFT, that is the specified financial transactions, and AIS or TIS, which we call annual information statement or taxpayers information summary, do watch our video on the topic by clicking the I button on the screen. Sixth point is applicable only to those NGOs which are following accrual or mercantile system of accounting. Provisions for all the expenses incurred and related to the financial year but not actually paid should be made on the basis of estimated amount or actual invoices made available and submitted before 31st March of the said financial year. Examples of such expenses include salary for the month of March, field expenses incurred but bills not submitted to the office, invoices received from the contractor but not yet paid, audit fees for the year, and many more of such expenses. Next point to be kept in mind before finalizing the books of accounts is transferring of surplus or deficit for the year to general reserve. After meeting and recording all the expenses out of the total income of the organization, the surplus or deficit that arises should be transferred and thus adjusted with the general reserve. Moving on to the 8th point, the project balances needs to be rechecked by adjusting the contribution received and the payments done, especially towards the assets purchased out of the project funds. This is all the more necessary to reconcile as the utilization certificates has to be issued to the donors after the year end. This is all the more necessary to reconcile as the utilization certificates has to be issued to the donors after the year end. Usually, it never happens that the same amount which is received for a particular project is exactly spent. Either it's overspent or underspent. So, in both the cases, the exact fund balance has to be derived in order to report the same correctly to the donor, especially when it's overspent, because the balance needs to be adjusted with general or interest fund of the organization which has not been allocated for any project specifically. Next point is one of the most crucial points of all. Reviewing the day-wise cash book for negative cash balance. I repeat, reviewing the day-wise cash book for negative cash balance. You must be thinking it's practically impossible that cash goes negative. Yes, you are correct. But there are multiple reasons why the cash balance might go negative while maintaining the books of accounts in any accounting software. Sometimes the expenses are done from the personal funds of the trustees or an employee, which are recorded without correspondingly recording the advance from them. There can also be duplicity in recording the cash payments on the same day, which might lead to cash going negative. So, before the closure of the books, it's very essential to review the cash transactions and rectify any negative cash balance. Here, we would also like to mention about the physical cash verification, which should ideally be done by the management on 31st March itself. Let's not forget to mention about the separate cash boxes for foreign contribution and local funds, which will reflect transparency and accountability in the financial administration of the organization. At last comes reviewing of documentation. All the receipt and payment vouchers should be arranged chronologically, date-wise, along with the supporting documents attached with each voucher to substantiate the transaction. All the vouchers should be properly filled and should contain complete details of the transaction. Preferably, the documents should be filed properly either month-wise or project-wise, whichever way the organization thinks it necessary. So, while preparing the books of accounts for audit, the review of documentation is the most important part, which should be done by the accounts team under the supervision of the financial administrator or treasurer and secretary of the organization to ensure effective book closure. So this was all about 10 key points that an NGO should remember while closing its books of accounts every year, which will ensure completeness, accuracy, transparency and authenticity in the working of the organization. Also, any type of reporting to the donors, the management and other stakeholders could be done effectively and smoothly with proper closure of accounts. I hope you will find this video relevant and helpful in your context, as we have just completed one such financial year and all the organizations must now be closing their books of accounts for the year and preparing themselves for audit. For more such updates and tutorials, keep watching our channel. Don't forget to subscribe it and put your notifications on. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn. Thank you.